Okay. So we are here with Nicoal. And Nicoal, your pronouns are they and she?
Yes.
Okay. And this is Coach Cap. For anybody who has tuned into one of my podcasts or podcast attempts before, you know how this goes. We do have a general structure, but just like in our gym, we also like to wing it just a little bit because what is, planning without a little bit of improv? But welcome to our
Sure.
BSF Spotlight portion of our vlog, blog, and podcast, where we interview people who have taken their fitness to help accomplish their goals and then turn it into a lifestyle. And then, in some crazy circumstances, those people go on to run Spartan Beasts, which, for anybody who's unfamiliar, is anywhere between a 13 and a 15-mile run with obstacles. And I say between a 13 and 15 because for anybody who's ever run a Spartan, there's a mile and then there's a Spartan mile. So this past week, we discussed purpose, and we'll be delving into that more as we go through our 5 P's of fitness: purpose, planning, progress, perspective, and persistence. And I thought, who better to come on and talk about purpose as it relates to fitness than my good friend Nicoal. And I will leave the floor to her in just a moment. But the biggest questions we ask with that are, why do you work out and why now? And a lot of people get thrown off by that last one, but it's an important one. The number of people I pull in to do consultations for at the gym that I ask them why they're working out, and you get the reasons. You dig a little bit deeper, you get even better reasons. And the why now is usually important because there usually is a timing associated with it. Whether somebody's going through a breakup or going through finally having some freedom and time back, the now is important because the now also guides how quickly we want to get to it, if we can have the patience to see our goals through. And with that, I'm just going to cut over to Nicoal. So Nicoal, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, why you got into fitness, and we'll go from there.
All right. Hey, I'm Nicole. Pronouns they, she. I was in a car wreck in 2012. I broke my back. I have incomplete spinal cord injury and was in a wheelchair. Even when Cap and I first met, I was in a wheelchair. And then Cap started this online gym. He would post workout videos, and I was like, hey, I want to get into working out for my mental health and for my physical health, because I could see that I was deteriorating. Like I've never lost full momentum or mobility in my legs, but I just didn't have any passion or any drive. That's really it. I didn't have the drive to do it. And then I met Cap and I was like, I want to do this. Like, I really do. So I started following his online programs that he did back in 2020. I think it
Uh,
was.
yeah, the site itself started in 2016. I want to say 18,
Yeah.
19, or 20 is when I really started like cranking out video content.
Yeah. And I started doing them, and Cap actually tailored some workouts for people who were in wheelchairs, and that I'd never had a trainer do that. And so I was like, okay, this is possible. And then I had my third back surgery. um, and that was in 21. And then in 23, I had another surgery. All while still like pushing myself to work out and getting myself back to where I could walk again. Because I was never told I couldn't do it. But I also was told it was a possibility I couldn't. So there was that, like, okay, are you saying I can, or are you saying I can't? I never got a direct answer. And so I was like, well, I can feel my thighs. So if I can feel my thighs, then I can stand. Um but I didn't have the strength. I didn't have the core strength. I didn't have the upper body strength. So I just did these workouts, and um I basically was like, okay, I did this today. What am I going to do tomorrow? Um, I went out, got a gym membership, and started going to the gym every day. So back in 22, I did my first Spartan, and I did it in a wheelchair. If you know Spartans, they're not easy. And I did that entire course. It was the Atlanta course at the
Yeah.
horse park. I did
Yeah.
that in a wheelchair. So I had a team of people help me on the course, and that really boosted the flame in me to, okay, you just did a 5K, you walked some of it, you rode in a wheelchair some of it. What if you did a 5K walking by yourself? So I spent months working on my physical and mental health, all while doing Spartan still. I think I did about, I got my ×2 that year.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The trifecta ×2 or the race
So,
×2?
trifecta ×2.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I was like, and that was my first year in Spartans. And I was like, okay, let's up it next year. So I still gym every day. And my goal wasn't to lose weight. That was never my goal. Is that a plus? Maybe, I guess. I don't know. I'm happy with the way I look. I look like a Greek goddess. Okay.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because I like the self-love. So
yeah, you gotta have self-love. But I mean, I'm realistic. Like, and in 23, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for ×3, and I did it. I got my ×3, but I also I walked my first 5K, and then 3 months later I walked my first 10K, and then in December I walked my first beast. So
wow.
yeah. And like my goal in the Spartan courses wasn't to do every obstacle. It was meet the mileage.
Right.
And if I got obstacles in there, great. And that's something that Spartan's good at with adaptive athletes is they're not going to force you to do something you can't physically do. And so they were really great about that. And I mean, I did 100% of that course. Well, minus some obstacles, but like mileage wise, I always did 100%. And when I have the medal up here on my desk, my ×3. It's like hanging on the wall to remind me, hey, you did hard stuff. And because like in March of 2024, I injured my back again on a Spartan course. And I ended up having to have 2 more surgeries this year. So I haven't raced a Spartan since March. The Atlanta Spartan race, I haven't raced since then because I physically can't right now. My doctors won't let me because they know how driven I am on course, and they want to make sure my back is healed.
How long do you have to heal with that?
I have until March of next year.
Okay. So I'm running the Atlanta Spartan with you next year.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
And so I'm doing the trifecta weekend that weekend too.
Oh, wow. So for anybody so first off, I don't know if you remember I'll tell the story in a second about how I found out about you watching my videos, because I know that I had talked with you back and forth. I just didn't know the extent to which you were watching them, but the focus is on you. So I'll tell that story quickly in a minute. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but when you had that conversation with me at the recovery tent, I did say that I'm going to run at least one Spartan with you. So I missed the one in Atlanta this March. I really wanted to go to that one and take some of our misfits with us, but I will make time to go do the March Atlanta one this upcoming year. But
yes.
For anybody who does not know what an accomplishment a trifecta is, let alone a double trifecta or a triple trifecta, Spartan races are in roughly 5K, 10K, and half marathon distances. We've got the sprint, the super, and the beast. We won't go into the crazy people who do ultras and the 24-hour long ones. No, just so about 5K, 10K, and roughly half a marathon. A trifecta happens where you knock out one of each in a year. And then some crazy people do them in one weekend. And yeah, that would be both of us. And it's the double trifecta is an accomplishment that my wife Lindsay has and that you have and that I have not done yet. So Nicoal, I apologize, old habits.
Okay.
So yeah. Nicoal it has done something and I have not done. Not that I am by any means the epitome of fitness. Everybody knows what my cardio looks like. I do it, but like Nicoal said, I do it to finish, not to break land speed records. But that is doing 2 and 3 of each of those distances in 1 year. So that means you're knocking out 6 to 9 races in a year. And each of these things, even the short ones, can be kind of grueling just because it's not just the distance, it's that you're doing it through obstacles, uneven terrain, mud. Sometimes you're literally wading through horse material, so
or cow
material,
and you have
that you think is mud.
Yeah, and in Florida, you have the rare chance that a bull is going to chase you on course because it goes through a pasture, and you're like, that's an obstacle I didn't know I was going to face today.
Well, and then the organizers of a lot of these races do a very good job at trying to look ahead to the weather and plan for it. And then some things still happen, and then some crazy organizers intentionally like things to be rainy and cold and everything. So. Yeah, it's they're quite the feat to accomplish. I will go into asking you another question in a minute, but I will tell how Nicoal absolutely pulled my heartstrings because the way I found out that Nicoal had been watching those videos as meticulously, and one of the reasons I'm getting back to content creation, because if there's even one other person out here taking, if nothing else, motivation, but hopefully some exercise guidance, then that's all the reason we need for it right there. Nicoal is finished the Spartan Beast on a Saturday, had 2 more to do the next day. And I'm in the recovery tent when Nicoal, walks up to me. You were on your canes at that point.
Yeah.
And I had been keeping track of Nicoal on social media because, Dragon Con and all that. And I knew that Nicoal had been doing these and the organization you're part of.
More heart than scars.
More heart than scars. I knew it was right here, and it was on the tip of my tongue. But I knew about all that, and I saw their entire entourage pull up. So I knew that Nicoal had been working up to doing these, where Nicoal could walk through these, and they come up to me outside the recovery tent while I'm already laying back in the chair with all of my hormones and adrenaline and endorphins having spiked and then flooded and left my body. Massage gun on the inner thigh. So already kind of emotional, and tells me that one of the reasons that they're able to do what they do was by watching the videos, not because we gave any magic cure, just being there and providing some motivation and answering questions how we could. Do you ever want to make a grown man cry? That's how you do that. Which, by the way, thank you for saying that with my brother nearby. He won't give me an option to ever quit doing this ever again.
Good.
As I've told everybody, I'm just telling you what to do. You're doing the work, and you took way more from it than I ever thought anybody did. And that has given me a ton of motivation to try and help other people. So like I said, it's not about me. I just mean you in turn motivated me to want to keep doing whatever tiny things. If one person's watching, then that's what matters. So on that note, we talked about purpose. We know your purpose and your why now. Can you talk for a minute on why purpose itself is important? I mean, it could be about life in general, but specifically as it applies to fitness, what your experience with how integral that is or is not to a fitness journey.
I think having a purpose has a lot to do with a fitness journey. Your purpose can be anything. Like, my purpose is to continue becoming more mobile. I tried to change my purpose to weight loss, and I just lost interest in working out. Like, I had no interest because I'm happy the way I look. But when I put my purpose on, okay, if you don't work out, you're going to lose your mobility, then I'm like, okay, we're going to the gym every day, because my mobility is important to me, not the way I look. I'm happy. My partner is happy than the way I look. So, like, what does it matter the way I look? So my purpose is to stay mobile. Without working out, I lose a lot of mobility. And I've noticed that since March, because I can't work out as heavy as I did. I mean, I was lifting, over 100 pounds in weights, and now I can't even lift over 35 pounds. Like, I'm on a weight restriction, and like that alone will mess with your mental health. And so keeping your purpose in mind while going through something like that is important, because you have to remember those things, those small things. You can't get lost in the big scheme.
No, I think that's actually, I think you hit a point that I will definitely have to address in the follow-up blog post on purpose, which is purpose is not just what gets you into the gym or lifting weights at home or hitting the trails. It's what also makes it easier, manageable, more mentally healthy to stick to the recovery too. Because if it's just about hitting the gym, if it's just about getting skinny, if it's just about any of this, then first off, you're not going to be into it. It has to be something that's unique to you. But it's also going to make you go, yeah, as much as it sucks that I could lift 100 pounds and now I'm lifting 30, the only way I'm going to get back to that is by doing what I need to do and to remember why I do this in the first place. It's counterintuitive if I'm just trying to push to hit the gym, if I know that's going to make the time when I get back tougher. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, when I did change my purpose to weight loss, I was miserable. I was sad. I was frustrated. That was a big emotion I felt, was frustration, because like I could see what was on the scale. I could see what I looked like, and they just didn't, like, I almost had morphed idealization. Yeah, that's the word, of what I look like, because like the scale would say one thing, but the mirror was showing something different.
Yeah. That's honestly one of the reasons. I mean, I've told people it time and time again, but our purposes are you have purposes that you get into it, get into it for. And then those purposes can either remain the same, change, or fuse with others over time. But I tend to find that most of the people that stick with it longer, whatever their purposes were in the beginning, eventually it becomes a purpose of self-confidence and of fostering that image of yourself that you see inside, and how, you might change things over time to make that continue to line up. You were talking about getting skinny not being the motivator. Like, I personally, for me, I always just wanted to get stronger. It wasn't about having to be super lean or have to be huge. Lindsay likes me when I look like corn-fed Jacob, and likes me a little bit less when I step on stage for bodybuilding. But I've gone through waves of lifting heavy is what I love to do. But in order to get back into even owning a gym after like a year and a half, 2 years, in order to find my love for the gym again, after training everybody all week long and then dealing with business stuff, I went back to bodybuilding because I found that's what was fun for me to do. And it's what kept me coming back. And I like me at all sizes. I've seen me at all sizes. So.
Same. I've seen me when I was 150 pounds, and did I look great? Yeah. But did I look healthy?
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, fit wise on a scale, yes, I looked great, but I didn't look healthy. And so I didn't like it. But now, like 100 pounds heavier, I love myself, I forget the Greek goddess's name, but that's what I always refer to myself as, and I was like, if painters painted her and saw that she was the epitome of beauty, what changed?
It's about Venus.
Like, why can't I see? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Venus. And it's like, if someone, like if they treasured her enough to paint her and make a sculpture out of her, obviously, I'm the same quality. So.
I respect that a lot. There's a lot of people that will talk about confidence, about how they have to work to get to that point. And I'm not negating that. I'm not going to say that everybody starts off with, endless levels of confidence, but I also tell people that kind of has to start from the beginning. You have to find that inside and continue to foster and develop it over time. but that confidence will never be dependent on where you're at, because then you'll get there and you'll want to be more. You'll want to do more. You'll think, okay, well, I'll finally feel confident when I'm at the next stage, when it's something that you find and then foster over time. Well, we'll wrap up here in just a minute, but I wanted to kind of close with asking you, for people, and you can answer this for people who have any of the same situation you do, any that share some of your story, but also for people in general. If you were to give people advice on how to bridge that gap, to take that first step, to cross over from knowing where you want to be to starting to get there, what are some things you'd advise them to do?
Don't be scared. That was my biggest thing in the beginning. I was like, what if I get judged for being in a wheelchair in a gym? There's no. Honestly, more people have come up to me because my gym has watched my journey just as much as you've watched my journey. Like when I started my gym, I was in a wheelchair, and then I started on my forearm crutches, and they watched that happen, And so my gym has been like a family to me. Like that's what gyms are. They're a family. Like you get to see the same people if you go at the same time, if you go to like one of the bigger gyms. And I have a community of people that have like cheered me on. And when they realized I wasn't lifting heavy, I was barely able to walk again because I re-injured myself. They're like, maybe you should take some time off. You deserve some time off from the gym, like, and I have to say, recovery days are important too, just as much as gym days. And, like the community definitely looked out for me, and I didn't realize how big the community was, because I'd always just had your little videos in my home gym and that was it. And then when I went out and like met other people, everyone's at a different stage in their journey, and you may have something purposeful for them to know, like some knowledge that to you is just normal everyday activity, but for them it's like, oh, I could actually do that in my workout routine to build X, Y, and Z. And so don't be scared. It does take a leap of faith, yes, but once you do take that leap, it opens this doorway of like family.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I tell people all the time, and I used to back even in big box gyms. I can't speak to the environments with, fitfluencers and all this other stuff going on right now. We do have some toxicity, but that happens in any public space. But I've told people more often than not, everybody who's worried about everybody else in the gym judging them or watching them, most other people are scared of the exact same thing. Everybody's afraid that everybody else is judging them when they're afraid of it themselves. So most people are just there to do their thing. And at worst and at best, in general, you find that you'll actually connect with people that see you doing these things and either want to help out or at least want to be supportive, at least in the right gyms. And a lot of gyms are the right gyms. There are some, that can be more troublesome, but by and large, taking that first step, like you said, is a leap of faith, but you'd be surprised the support and encouragement you can find on the other side.
Oh yeah, exactly. And now that like I have my service dog who helps me, people have been super respectful of her. Like that was my biggest fear of like taking her in the gym. Everyone's going to want to love on her. But no, like everyone, they do come up and be like, hey, like I love the respect that your dog and you show for each other. Or they're like, hey, I've seen you in here a few times with your dog, and it's so cool to see how off-leash trained she is. When I'm doing the sled, she'll stay in her corner while I'm pushing that sled with, 3 45-pound weights on it back and forth. But as soon as like something medically goes wrong, she's breaking her downstay and coming to me. She doesn't care about anybody else in the gym. And I think that was one of my biggest fears of having her in the gym, was that people would like, interrupt my workouts to, want to hang out with my dog. But no, like everyone's super respectful.
Oh, I definitely get that urge, though. I have never once petted a service animal without asking first, or sometimes just don't even ask. But I do get the urge to seeing a dog, I'd say in the gym, but anywhere, and wanting to pet it. But I'm glad that people do have that common sense and that respect for that. Well, on that note, I think we'll go ahead and close out. Wanted to be able to highlight your story and talk to you for a little bit about it. Do you have anything else to say before we close out?
No, not really. I pretty much said everything, talking with you. I'm so excited to see where this goes because, like here's a little dig, not dig, but a little positive for you because like I know that it's not negative. I don't know why my brain went that word, but like you said, this was all about me. But honestly, you were a big part of my story. And I can't thank you enough for those, that 2020 vision that you had with those videos because I wouldn't be here, today, honestly. Because, depression hit hard in 2020 for a lot of people. And that was a big part of my purpose, to give me something to do in the house that I didn't have to leave for. And you starting those videos and being very encouraging was what I needed in that time. And I still keep up with you on social media, and I always look forward to Dragon Con because I get to see you and you get to see my progress.
Hopefully I get to come this year.
Yeah. So I enjoyed those. I even got a friend involved, because they were like, "What are you always doing?" And so I told them, and one of their comments was like, "Whatever happened to that?" And I was like, "Oh, you just wait."
Oh, we're definitely coming back with a passion. Obviously, the first 3 years of opening the gym has been a roller coaster that most people know about, but there's even some stuff people don't know about. But that's part of the reason of getting back to this is, anybody can go find a bodybuilding.com, like a plan on a bodybuilding.com forum, can go find something, and anything done consistently can be beneficial. But the other half, and that's not to negate coaching or the benefit of a good coach. But one of the things I tell people all the time is half the reason gyms, personal trainers, coaches, online coaches have a job is accountability and motivation. And so we're trying to get back to the heart and soul of trying to motivate people to go after their goals the way that you did. So, and continue to do. And I will make sure that I see you in March.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I look forward to that because that was Spartan Atlanta was my first Spartan. And oddly enough, it was my last Spartan. And so it's going to be my comeback Spartan too.
Trust me, I understand the benefit or the cathartic effect of redeeming Spartans. I eventually will redeem myself against Killington, Vermont Ultra Spartan that I only made it halfway through. Good Lord. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to do a Spartan up Black Diamond ski slopes, but I'm going to avenge myself at some point. So
yeah, I go for it. An ultra is on my list. Like that was going to be my 2025 goal was a Spartan ultra, but I got injured. So now it's going to be a 2026 goal.
Well, maybe I will have to set the same one because I might have to set a slightly less difficult ultra first. Maybe Dallas. I don't know.
I heard Dallas is nice.
My brother did the Dallas one. He said he loved it a lot. So
yeah.
Well, let me go ahead and close out. Like I said, this is the first of many to come where we are interviewing, talking with people who range anywhere from our Bars and Stripes members to our extended Bars and Stripes family to people who we just have been told about, heard about, that we want to interview that have basically taken their fitness to accomplish their goals, turn it into a lifestyle, and then usually turn it into something else. Sometimes it stops at a 5K. Sometimes it goes to running a Spartan Beast or becoming a professional bodybuilder or powerlifter or strongman. And I just like being able to showcase that it doesn't take somebody with millions of dollars or somebody who is, born a genetic Adonis to be able to go do it. That anybody, fitness is for everybody, and your goals are personal to you, and they can take you through your goals and even further than you anticipated. That is the way that this gym started, was as a site, as a blog, showcasing those. So we will continue to do that. Every 2 weeks, we'll be doing another one of these and tacking them onto the message that we posted earlier in the week. So thank you, Nicoal, for being on. And we will hopefully hear from everybody soon. Thank you, Nicoal.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Work hard, live free, stay hungry.